afternoon, folks. It's a special day, or it was a special day. Well, when this video goes out, it will have been a special day about 2 weeks ago. But when I recorded this, it was day 1000 of my journey of art. 1,000 days ago today, I decided I was gonna draw a character for a D&D session. And I enjoyed it, and I decided I'm gonna draw again. And then it went a whole week just drawing. I hit a month, and I said, I'm gonna see how long I can take this. And it has been 1,000 days, and I have not missed a single dang day, y'all. So, we're gonna celebrate. We're gonna use some high-end oil paints, and I'm gonna paint myself holding the kitty cat. We got some Holbein here. These are water mixable paints. I do not use them as water mixable paints. I still use my solvents and oils. I just didn't want to change out everything. I'm a little lazy. It's my birthday, guys. It's my art birthday, guys. You gotta give me this. So join me as we paint. We are beginning our video today with a bright red canvas. I recently got I believe it was either 500, it was a 500 ml jar of Galleria paint, bright red, vermilion, scarlet, whatever you want to call it. $5. It's a heck of a steal, and I plan to use a lot of it, so expect a lot more red canvases, maybe a little bit more gesso mixed in. I kind of went a little bit lighter on the gesso than no, don't use that word. I emptied like half the bottle on this canvas. Not really, but it felt like it. And of course I am doing the underpainting with a white pastel. It's either white or it's off-white. I do believe that it is I think the color is called parchment. It is a neo-colored pastel. I love neo-color. It shows up bright and clear, and the light-colored ones don't mix with the paint and that much. I mean, they'll mix with the paint. Any color that you use will change the color of the paint that you use, but the white ones are not as bad as the dark ones for staining power, so it will not affect the color of the painting as much. And of course, the main player of the day today is the Holbein Aqua Duo. Of course, I am not using these in their full capacity as water mixable oils. I am still using solvents, and I don't believe that I used that much oil in thinning the paints, but I do have non-water soluble oil on the side too, just so you know. We're not testing the actual gimmicks of the paint. You know, I don't like to call it a gimmick, but it is kind of a gimmick. It is not changing how the paint is used, it's changing how you clean up the paint and thin the paint. The actual paint itself is what's important, and that is what we're testing. And so we're just going in just normal oil style right here. And boy howdy do these paints have a lot to talk about. These are they're certainly the only professional grade water mixable oils that I've found, and there's a couple of other water mixable oils that are like semi-professional, like Cobra is one. Cobra water mixable oils. I believe Rembrandt, the company that makes Rembrandt, also has a water mixable oil that might be the same thing. I'm just gonna pause for a second and do a quick Google. Yes, folks, it has been confirmed. I do not do research. Royal Talens is the company that makes Rembrandt, and it is also the same company that makes Cobra. In my defense, I thought all of their lines were named after artists. So you got Van Gogh, or Van Gogh, or however you want to pronounce that, which is their student grade. And then you've got Rembrandt, which is their artist grade. I don't know if there is an artist named Cobra. I would very much like to meet them, though. They sound like they ride on a really cool motorcycle designed from Leonardo da Vinci himself. So you got Cobra, and then you also have Winsor & Newton Artisan, which is, it's only a little bit more expensive overall than the Wintons. So I'm kind of taking that to mean that they're kind of the same area of quality. I have used two colors that I accidentally bought when Michaels had a massive sale on, I think it was like 60 or 70% off of oil paints. It was fantastic. It just happened to be the same year that I was buying all my oil paints to see if I liked the medium. And then the only other one that I really know of is the Dalerani water mixable Georgian oil paints. I've used Georgian oil paints before, but not their water mixable ones. They're okay. Whenever I go to Desserts in town, They're always on sale. The normal price that they have listed for is I think $13, and they're usually on sale for about $8, which is actually a little bit less than what they're selling the Wintons for. And tubes are like twice the size. So really, I think that's the best bang for your buck in terms of quality to quantity levels. I would put them as lower quality than Wintons, but also if you're getting twice as much paint for less money, like, you know, do the math here. If you're practicing with oil paints anyway, you don't need super high quality paints. You need something that's not going to, you know, give you cancer or wilt your crops or anything. But you do. I'm getting off topic here. The point is, out of all of the options that are easily accessible to me as a person who lives in a semi-major city, actually it is a capital city, so nothing semi about it, you're gonna run into problems finding professional grade of water mixable oils that is not Holbein Duo. So good thing that they're so nice. So I'm gonna list some pros, or rather, I'm going to list some cons first, and then I'm going to list some pros, because I feel that the pros greatly outweigh the cons. So I'm going to give the cons a chance by, you know, introducing them first and, you know, really hammering down on these cons. Okay, so the first biggest con to using these paints, they're really expensive. I believe that the Series 1, which is the cheapest pigment, is not the worst pigment, but like the cheapest to produce, or synthesize, or mine, or whatever method that you get the pigment from, we sell them at our store for about $16. So you're definitely, like, you're paying professional level prices for this, which is fair because, you know, it is a professional level paint, but you're also paying the premium of having a specialty paint. No, this is not to say that this is the most expensive paint that we have. We do sell Schmincke Mussini paint, which is, I would actually, like, okay, so when you're talking about paint, there is children, student, hobbyist, professional, and then there's like a tier that's above professional that's like collectible paints. Schmincke is right up at the very tippy top with the collectible paints. These are paints that you use on paintings that sell for thousands of dollars. They're going to probably outlast the sun itself in terms of the quality of the paint. Alien civilizations will find it floating out beyond our solar system when the sun has long turned to dust, but you're not going to be using it for practice. You're probably not going to be using Duo for practice either, but the option is there more so than with the Mussinis. So it's still really expensive, but it's not the most expensive. But the second con really depends more on what you are painting on. I felt like the paint was sticking more to my brush than to the canvas. And there is a very possible reason that I simply used too much acrylic paint compared to gesso when I was priming the canvas. Also, please note that I didn't have to prime the canvas. I like painting on a colored surface, and so I'll mix gesso and a colorful paint or a few colorful paints together, and that'll be what I paint on. It just feels better than painting on a bright white canvas, and it's just what I prefer. Just an aside about the actual painting in the video. I did not record just about any of the actual painting of the kitty cat. My little baby Rosie was not on camera being filmed being painted. I woke up too early. I was still mostly asleep, and I started painting without turning on my camera. Completely my fault. It was not a systems failure or anything like that. It was pilot error. So with that aside, the thing with the paint not sticking to the canvas as well as it should. So there's a couple of reasons why this could happen. I looked it up and kind of got some opinions on it. One, I could be leaving too much solvent on my brush when I clean it. You can circumvent this by using oils to clean your brushes. That is definitely an option. Number two is because these are smaller tubes, you feel the need to stretch the amount of paint that you have, and so you use less on your brush. Oils are not acrylics. They're not meant to be used in thin layers. They're meant to be gobbed on, as they are anyway. You can change the nature of that with mediums and oils and solvents and all that, but as it stands, just the naked paint, you gotta gob it on there. Because there's not as much on your brush, the paint is gonna be where it wants to be instead of where you're putting it. The third is that my canvas was simply too smooth. I painted my primer too thickly, and there wasn't enough left of the texture to give it something to hold on to. Normally I'd give an art supply a little bit of a ding for, you know, not being as consumer friendly as it could be, but this is a professional grade paint. and it expects you to know what you're doing when you start it. It's gonna have its own quirks, it's gonna have its own personality, just like any other paint. Even dollar store paints have their own personality that you can work around and make good art with. I wouldn't recommend it, but you could make something that could reasonably be expected to fit on someone's wall decor. Holbein Duo, same kind of good quality professional paint that you get from like Gamblin' artists or Rembrandt or even Winsor & Newton artists. It's gonna do you good, and it's got that fun little quirk of being able to be used with less solvents. If you're worried about if you're painting in an enclosed area like I am, if you're painting in the winter and you can't really open a window, that's very much like we've got winter 6 months of the year, 7 months of the year. It's too chilly to open your window here. So a water mixable oil like that makes a lot of sense in an environment like that where you can't ventilate. You know, just because your mineral spirits are stinky like turpentine doesn't mean that they're not potentially a health hazard. So that's it for cons. I know a lot of my cons kind of melded in to be like, oh, actually it's not that bad. That's just kind of like where I'm at with the oils. I feel like they're definitely like there is a degree of skill required to get the most out of these paints, but at the end of the day, if you know what you're doing, they're gonna serve you real good. So, Pro 1, Holbein is here to stay. They have been increasing exports out of Japan pretty steadily over the last 10 years, and I would probably expect the availability of Holbein Duo to increase rather than decrease, just because they've finally sorted out their stuff with the toxicity of their pencil crayons, and now that they can export more products, it's gonna make it easier for them to get the licenses and make it worth it to get the licenses. Now, I doubt that actually will translate to a decrease in prices. They do have a reputation to keep, and unfortunately in the art world, if you have a good reputation, you're gonna cost that much more. Second pro is their line of colors. They have some of the most vibrant shades of colors I have ever seen. They've got fluorescent, they've got day glow, they've got just absolutely like burn your eyes out shades of pink. I love it so much. They're a little bit iffy on their light fastness. They're not very open about how they test for light fastness. They just say that they're archival quality paints. For the most part. I mean, obviously, like, their, like, luminous line is not going to be as light fast. You're just not going to get that level of archivability with these absurdly bright shades as you do with, like, earth tones, for example. But they do stand by their quality. They do make some very high claims. And I've seen some of their other lines, like the Holbein watercolor and the Holbein gouache, do quite well in light fastness tests. So, generally speaking, if you paint something with some of the less bright shades, it's going to last a long time. If you do use some of the brighter shades, you might want to invest in like a UV protective coating, but you're gonna have to do that with any paint. All paints will fade eventually. It's just, the sun is really damaging y'all. I don't know if y'all noticed, but this big ball of fire in the sky does things to stuff. So yeah, this huge line of paints doesn't matter as much if you're selling originals, because probably going to be using the more dependable colors in their line anyway. But if you're selling prints, and might I say that artist grade prints are a booming industry right now. Originals cost a lot of money. They can cost hundreds or thousands of dollars. A print will cost dozens to hundreds of dollars. Maybe $300 if it's like a really big, really nice print. If you're selling prints, you can use any color that you want in that set and it will be perfect. Honestly, if you're making money as an artist, you should have multiple revenues of income anyway. So selling prints, selling originals, maybe social media presence, selling YouTube revenue. You know, it's just, you need a lot of legs on your table to keep it from falling over, is what I'm saying. My final verdict with these paints is that if you can afford them, if you're worried about poisonous solvents, if you're worried about the quality of the paint that you're using, these are a fine addition to your library. They're gonna get you where you wanna go. There's plenty of colors to choose from, so if you're really bad at mixing colors like I am, you can kind of cheat a little bit and maybe buy like a 12-foot long palette and just have all of the colors. I think they have like over 100 colors in their oil paint duo line, at least 80. Hold on, I'm gonna go look that up before I make a claim. Exactly 100 colors! I think they wanted to go for a nice round number and they just couldn't decide what to leave out. So instead of going with 80 or 90, they went with 100, which is fine by me. So I've only got about a minute or so left of the video, so I think I'm just gonna turn the music up and let you watch me finish, and I'll meet you in the outro. I'm wearing the same shirt. I recorded this the day after everything. I painted everything, so I'm kind of tricking you in the beginning. I'm telling you now. I already knew how it was all gonna happen. Look at that baby. Look at that baby. That's my little baby Rosie. That's who if you watch the end of the videos, that's who you see all the time. With the nose like Rudolph for some reason. And that's me, I guess. You didn't see that. For those of you who have made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I enjoyed the crap out of these. I would recommend them if you're in a price range where you can afford professional level oils and you want something that's a little bit easier to clean up, maybe a little bit less toxic to use overall, I would use these. Yeah, other ones like Winsor Newton Artisan, Cobra, they're not reputed to be quite the same level as these duos. These are much more packed with pigment, and in a few videos, maybe I'll prove that. Who knows? I've still got some grant money. We'll see. Make it rain. Art stores, I'm coming for you. So that's about it for me. So I'll see you all next week with a brand new adventure. I'm still tossing up what it could be. So I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.